First, it was El Salvador. Now the Trump administration is eyeing Libya as its next deportation destination. A source tells CNN the White House is moving forward with its plan to send a group of undocumented immigrants to North Africa, the North African nation that is notorious for its harsh treatment of migrants. A State Department report on human rights found individuals, including refugees, asylum seekers, and other migrants held in Libyan detention centers faced inhumane conditions, torture, and even death. Libya has denied it discussed deportations with the White House. And when asked about it today, President Trump said he's in the dark.
Are your administration sending migrants to Libya?
I don't know. You'll have to ask Homeland Security, please.
So Trump is saying he doesn't know anything about it, but this has gone all the way to the courts. And the judge tonight, Judge Brian Murphy, said this: the Department of Homeland Security may not evade this injunction by ceding control over non-citizens or the enforcement of its immigration responsibilities to any other agency, including the Defense Department. The alleged imminent removals would clearly violate the court's order. That is a warning not to do this. But there is, according to flight records, a plane, a military plane waiting with flight plans to Libya.
Well, as the lawyer at the table, I don't know if anyone else is a lawyer. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I apologize. Well, the lawyer who's in the middle of a trial right now, who came from court a couple hours ago. I mean, I hope that the executive branch always abides by the judiciary holdings and follows them through the chain of command of appellate process, because if that fails, then we're in tremendous trouble.
They haven't done so. There was a unanimous decision by the Supreme Court telling this executive to make every effort to bring Kilmar Abrego Garcia back, and they have not done so. Well, so it's like, we are seeing, you're talking about dictatorship. In dictatorships, there's no rule of law. And in this country, the problem that we are seeing is the gap that we have in our system, where theoretically they may be co-equal, but the judicial branch has no enforcement arm. And so John Roberts and what army is going to stop Donald Trump?
Well, that's the problem. There is no. Look, they
already defied it when with the plane. There was a court order telling them not to send that plane to El Salvador, and they did so.
And listen, that's a big problem. And our country is founded on the trust between the three branches of government. And I think John Roberts spoke at Buffalo.
Yeah, he did tonight. I'll read it since you're bringing it up. He says the judiciary. He says the judiciary. So we actually have the clip, so let's play it.
In our Constitution, judges and the judiciary is a co-equal branch of government, separate from the others, with the authority to interpret the Constitution as law and strike down, obviously, acts of Congress or acts of the president. And that innovation doesn't work if it's not, the judiciary is not independent. Its job is to obviously decide cases, but in the course of that, check the excesses of Congress or of the executive, and that does require a degree of independence.
Now, that is a direct message to this administration that has pretty explicitly said they don't believe that that is true, that the courts have a role in interpreting the law, or that there are limits to whether they could check the executive on various things. He's saying, no, that's not how it works.
It's not. I mean, this is... I don't want to be hyperbolic right now, but I'm glad to hear you say that it is not okay when the three branches of government don't operate and that one doesn't respect the other. That is the fundamental principle of our democracy, of our institutions. And if we don't have that, then we are not living in the America that so many of us know and love. And so what will happen if, I don't know what the case will be or what the action will be, but this administration is testing the bounds of our institutions on purpose. And it will take the people. In most authoritarian countries, it's people that have to stand up to the leader that is elected and say, not on our watch. And those people are often sometimes people who have selected to put that person in power, and often people who have not selected to put that. They find a coalition.
To Lisa's point, leaving the legal aside, because I do believe in the rule of law, and I believe that the administration should respect what the judges say. But talking about the people, every time someone, whether it's Anna or someone else, mentions Kilmar Abrego Garcia, another Republican ballot, voter registration gets dropped in the mailbox. And that's why you had people like Hakeem Jeffries said, guys, no more El Salvador. don't go to El Salvador. Why did he say that? Not because he wanted to, but because the people are not with the Democratic Party on this issue.
He has denied saying that.
But we're going on this story on an unnamed source to see. So
no, I'm saying Hakeem Jeffries has denied that he said that. But let me ask you a question about the Libya part.
But whether I'm sorry, may I respond though? Whether it's politically expedient or not, I am going to continue mentioning the gay Venezuelan makeup artist who was sent there with no ties to gangs and no criminal records. Because you see, for me, it's about right and wrong, and I refuse to forget those people who for no reason have been sent to a hellhole with no due process in El Salvador. So that to me is unacceptable as an American, and my people, my community, the Latino community is being racially profiled. I have a national platform, and I will be damned if I don't use it to continue repeating
This is exactly why I was going to ask. Why is the administration wanting to take people from Venezuela, from anywhere in the world, and send them to places where they could face death? Even if their crime is coming to the country illegally.
That's not a crime, by the way.
Well, if they cross the border illegally, it is a type of crime. But even if they did that, is that really something that we're doing in this country, sending them to a prison where the only way out is in a coffin, according to the El Salvadorians?
They had an option not to come in the first place. They had an option. They had an option to self-deport. I'm sorry, but I'm speaking for a lot of Americans. I'm telling you, I'm speaking to a lot of Americans who say after people who aren't supposed to be here are removed from the country, it's not my problem. Right? The due process was supposed to happen before they came here, not after. I'm speaking for a lot of Americans.
That doesn't make sense.
You should apply for citizenship, apply for a visa through the right channels, then you come. That's how you travel to when you go out elsewhere.
Can we just back up for 1 second? What you're saying right now, regardless of how many Americans you speak for, is literally the most undemocratic, most un-American thing I think I've heard on national TV in a very long period of time. And let me explain why. Because when you come to this country, you have certain rights, even if you're here illegally. It's not a crime. In fact, the Supreme Court has stated that being here illegally is not a crime. Do we want to make sure that people are here legally? Do we want to make sure that they're not committing crimes? The answer is yes. I'm not going to die on that hill and say just let all the gates open and let everybody in. But people deserve due process. And if you're sending people to Libya who have no connection to Libya at all, if you're sending people to El Salvador who have no connection to El Salvador without due process.
If it's not a crime, what is it, an administrative violation? What is it coming here?
It's actually a status. I didn't write it. I'm not on Supreme Court.
I'm asking.
There's actually people who came here illegally with
they're not going to stay in my house. They're going to be removed from my house and go to court. That's all they want in the immigration system.
I don't think that there's a disagreement in that we need to have rules and laws in our immigration policy.
Correct.
Why didn't we for 4 years?
Well, what?
Why didn't we for 4 years? Where was this conversation?
Where
was this conversation?
We don't know. But there was this conversation.
We have to prevent people from coming here.
There was this conversation. I guess my request is where's the humanity? These are human beings at the end of the day.
Even the worst,
but you know what? Even the worst of the worst people, the murderers of the world, they deserve due process and they deserve their sentence. But these people, the makeup artist that Anna was talking about, send the person to a prison to die?
Can I ask a political question?
Because he had a tattoo that said mom and a tattoo that said dad.
A political question that just has humanity and just bipartisanship. Why not? Because I think everybody would agree around the table. Why not bring Abrego back and put him through a system and deport him again?
He had a valid deportation order.
What is that?
Yes, by all means, you should speak to the Democratic Party. If you want to bring Garcia back, this should be the official platform of the Democratic Party.
That's not what I just said. That's not what I just said.
But I'm hearing you. Most Americans want this guy.
You know what? You're actually wrong. Donald Trump, in the most recent polls, is underwater on the handling of immigration for the first time. And it's not because of the way he's handling the border. The CNN poll, all of the polls. Go read.
Okay.
He is underwater, and it's because
I'm sure Twitter will.
No, it's what, and I'll tell you why. Because people are listening, and people are hearing about these awful cases, and people are seeing their kids' teachers get deported, and their kids' soccer coaches get deported, and the person who takes care of their elderly parent, and they're seeing U.S. citizens who have been detained without due process.
You and I are in New York. And I'm surrounded with people who are not here properly. Maybe I won't say illegally. I just learned something.
Illegally is a word. It's not a crime.
So I don't know one person who's been anywhere in my whole universe, and I got a pretty big universe between Brooklyn and Manhattan, who have been pulled out of their house and been deported.
I don't associate.
I'm also saying that now Manhattan and Brooklyn may be different than other parts of the world.
Yeah, and you do know that it is happening.
Yeah, I just don't know to what.
You don't associate with MS-13 gang members.
Abby,
so
just correct me wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did they just come down with a policy where if you self-deport, you're getting $1,000 to leave the country, or did I?
And you get the right to come back if you can apply.
That is one of the things that they are doing.
Can we all agree on
That's
that?
a good idea.
Is that a good idea?
We got to leave the conversation.
That's actually a terrible idea.
That's not.
It's a terrible idea to say, look, self-report.
Comprehensive immigration reform is a good idea.
A pathway to citizenship, fixing a broken asylum system.
You had the chance.
You
had the Houses of
How about
Congress
this?
and the president for
Joe,
4 years.
guess what you got? Guess what you got right now?
All of it.
All of it.
Do it.
Fix it. Comprehensive immigration reform. The
Don't
last
send
time we
people
had
to
it, you
cages.
ran Marco Rubio
removing
out.
people and making them come back under an application process is fixing it.
You
And
like
that's what's
paying
happening.
illegal immigrants. You want to pay illegal immigrants my hard-earned tax dollars. You want to give them $1,000.
No, not
that's what you're running on right now. You just said it's a good policy point.
$1,000
You're
in
gonna-
cash
you're
to an
going to
immigrant
give-
is far less than the amount of money it would cost to give them health care.
Joe's next opponent, clip the tape.
We got to leave it.
Cut the ad.
We got to leave it there. Coming up next, Joe Biden is breaking his silence now on Trump's second term, and the White House responds to this by suggesting his interviews are elder abuse. But do liberals themselves want to hear from the former president?